Welcome to the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr. I am a transformational mindset and business coach and six-figure award-winning female entrepreneur. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that business and making money doesn't have to be hard when you're in alignment and flow. Inside this podcast, I will be showing you how to transform your mindset to program it for success, how to maximize your money vibrations, and how to redesign your business for ultimate financial and time freedom. You know you are meant to live an epic life. Now it's time to claim it. Hi ladies, welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I'm your host Rebecca Barr, aka the Femalepreneur Coach, obviously. I'm super excited to be here today talking with you, and I'm actually have a fantastic guest expert. Her name is Serena Dodd. She is a positive psychology coach, a breathwork facilitator, an Amazon bestseller for high achieving business owners. Is that business owners or business women?
No, business owners, men and women.
Oh, amazing. And I'm so excited. We've just been talking offline before we started, and there's literally I think I might actually have you back after this, because there's so much that we could talk about. There's just so much alignment with the people that you work with and the ultimate mission that you're here to serve. So I'm super excited. But if you would also like to give the ladies a little introduction to you, I think they need to know who they're dealing with right now.
Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be on this podcast with you. Yes, so I'm Serena, and I work with what I like to call hidden high achievers. So the amount of times that I have come across people who I just think have this genius inside of them, people far greater than myself, who are hiding in the corners of the world and not being able to release themselves out into the open because of imposter, because they have self-doubt, because of so many different aspects of life that's created barriers for them. I'm that person that comes in and says, hey, stop dimming your lights. Yeah. Let's raise the ceiling. Let's get you shining. And so it's less about strategy, because these individuals have strategy. They just don't know where to start. They don't know how to get themselves out there, and occasionally they need that burst of confidence. So I work with them with that, and I work on a sort of a mindset perspective, but also a body perspective. So I use the element of breath work to start to open and release fixed mindset work. So that's how we can start to really get in deep with making a difference and start to become unstoppable, really.
Oh, I just love that. And it's so interesting to me because breathwork's a relatively new concept for me. And I think we all get mindset and the need for personal development and reinforcing, like, what goes on upstairs. But it's like, I didn't realize the power of the mind and body connection on this journey as well. So I love that you use breathwork. How did you kind of come across that modality?
Well, I'd never heard of it either until about 2 years ago. And to be honest with you, I just thought, this is ridiculous. We can all breathe anyway.
Yeah.
And I was actually abroad, and I had a breathwork experience on Zoom during COVID. And the whole experience changed my life for 24 hours. I went to sleep afterwards, and I woke up, my skin was still buzzing. I felt free to breathe, and I felt my mind felt a lot clearer. And it just dawned on me that no matter who you are, there are certain modalities that work for you, whether that's tapping, whether that's listening to high vibrational music, whatever it is. And breathwork really resonated with me, and it resonates with most people. It's just being dedicated on a daily basis to really hone in on using this time to become uber present and uber focused on one particular thing. And that really helps you release any stresses, any energies that are being stuck. And that's what I really like about it. It's releasing energies that your mindset sometimes really struggles with, it holds on to.
Yeah, well, it is that physical, when we're stressed, like you can feel that in your body. But I wonder if it resonates so much with high achieving women. So I'm so interested about the fact that you work with high achieving women, because I've got some theories around, how why we play small and those sorts of things. But I wondered if breath work is so good because I love the fact that it's me that's controlling it. So
Mm.
I think as a high achieving woman, control is one of my driving factors, and anything that, I feel like I can be in control of, that's something I'm really excited about. So concepts that are too, for me, if it's like, if there's not anything tangible that I can do, then it's not enough. It's like I need to be busy. I need to feel like I'm actively making things better. So I love breath work myself. And like you said, I was the kind of person that was like, oh, it's just breathing. We breathe anyway. But yeah, I love the way it pushes what your body is capable and all of those things. So I wondered if it's like interesting link between women that are high achieving, probably quite controlling like me too.
Well, if it, for I'll tell you, for me, it was the fact that it was just instantly accessible.
Mm,
A lot of high achieving individuals are busy,
yeah,
whether they are busy in life or they're busy in their minds, they're busy. So to access something that actually can change your perspective within 2 to 3 minutes felt like something doable and something that was easily accessible, and you could create consistency with that. So that really, it resonated with me, and it resonates with my clients. So being able to have access to something that changes and creates an energy shift
mm,
makes all the difference to your day.
yeah, yeah. How do you think that that changes your day, and why should people be prioritizing this kind of work? Because again, a lot of the
Well,
time when I speak to women, they're like, "Oh, I'm busy and I'm doing this instead of that," and it's like trying to almost make people understand like the value that this is the thing. It's not those busy things. It's this that's going to make the difference.
I think what you get to a point with is like you get to the end of the day and what have you been busy doing? And I think that's a really good question to ask yourself, is to say, okay, I'm so busy and there's just a bunch of stuff. But I can honestly tell you, when I was at my busiest in my corporate job and someone asked me what I did in my day, I couldn't really tell you.
Yeah, I just
However,
know I'm busy and I'm
I
exhausted.
just I just know that I'm busy. And to be able to take a step back and almost offer yourself 2 to 3 minutes and say, right, okay, I know I'm busy, and allow that side of your brain to have that recognition. I know
That
that I'm busy,
validation.
that validation, but something isn't working here. Something's sticking, something's crunchy. And I feel like in some ways I'm busy doing nothing. And I'm busy doing the things that I are not generating the life that I want to lead. And now is the time to just spend me one on one, because no matter, as you spoke earlier, no matter whether you're in the bathroom or you're out in the garden or whatever, you have 2 to 3 minutes in a day.
Yeah,
So being able to take that time and to do even something as small as a box breath, which is in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, in for 4. Or if you're feeling weak and tired during the day, knowing that oxygen really, really elevates your energy and your mood, breathing in for 4 and out for 2, and just doing that for 2 minutes.
I'm literally
Really.
writing that down. I'm always tired.
Well, it's to say it's the opposite way if you want to sleep at night. So it's out for 4, yes, out for 4, in for 2. So reducing the amount of oxygen that's coming into your system, and just being able to know that you have access to this at any time of the day. Yes, we're breathing. Breathing is being able to breathe is the only modality in our system that's automated and created on purpose.
Yeah,
But being able to focus on your breath, what that does is it makes you absolutely present in that moment. So noticing the airflow going into your system and down into your lungs, and flourishing your body, and then releasing anything that's sticky and stressful and resistant in your system. And just that mentality of that movement
Yeah.
will, will disengage your mind to what's busy.
Yeah, that's so empowering as well, isn't it? Because a lot of the time we feel that we're almost at the mercy of the world and everything that's going on. And, particularly obviously like I've got children, but even, clients, like we kind of feel bombarded. And to know that in a moment, regardless of all of that noise, regardless of all of those distractions, that you can essentially change the way that you feel and therefore
Yeah.
the way that you react to these situations is really empowering, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of busy people feel disempowered because they feel like the world has uh, not done them a favor, not done them a service. And actually, when you know and you've done your mindset work and all those things, you know that you are in control. However, sometimes it does not feel like that. When you do breath work, it is the part of your day that you know that you're in control of. You say, I'm taking these 2 minutes,
Yeah,
even if you're in an office, even if you've got kids screaming in the background, you take yourself away for 2 minutes and you create this moment for yourself, this sacred moment for yourself. And that, just from a mental perspective, allows you to start gaining control
yeah.
back into your day.
And that's it, isn't it? And I think when I've spoken with clients before, they've said, I feel really bad. I know I'm supposed to do a morning routine, and I've tried to get up earlier, and I've tried to like do half an hour and journaling and meditating. And what they're not realizing is that they're almost feeling bad that I don't have this sacred self-care practice. But actually, like you say, it's so accessible. Even just 2 minutes a day while you're making a cup of tea or while you're drinking that cup of tea, that is enough to reclaim that power and to refocus yourself. That's enough. That's a box ticked. We're
Yes.
all kind of reaching for this impossible benchmark. We were joking earlier about a mentor that does like hours a day yoga, and I'm like, oh, I feel like a bit of a failure because I've not quite reached that status. But like you're saying, literally just 2 minutes a day is enough to essentially get to the same outcome, which is that sense of control and balance. So
Yeah. And the
maybe
more you do
nobody
that, the
listening here can't have 2 minutes a day.
exactly. And the more you do it, the more you know that you've got access to it, the more you want to do it because the feeling changes. The feeling of overwhelm, the anxiety, the stress, it shifts. And what you all you want to do is to be able to create a shift in your day. It's not about creating like within 2 minutes, creating an environment where life's going to be pleasant, peaceful, and very easy. It's about shifting that cellular change that happens in your body when you just take that time to refocus.
Yeah, and I don't know. Have you seen that film Limitless? With
Yes.
yeah, where he literally takes that pill. It's almost like that, isn't it? Just suddenly you can have that sense of clarity and peace. That
Yes.
just means that even though the circumstance might be exactly the same, when you kind of come back round, but your reaction to it will be very different. You'll be much more centered and controlled. So I'd love, I just absolutely love that. And that box breath that you mentioned, like in for four, out for four, and hold for four, sorry, and then out for four. That's really great advice for the women that are listening and are just looking for those quick wins throughout the day. And that's something definitely that I'm all about. It's not about giving you more things to do and extra things on your list, but that is very tangible. That's very easy, very practical for somebody to implement today, and they're going to get those shifts, which is amazing. But I just wanted to take it back actually a little bit to where your journey came from and why you're now kind of such a ambassador about this to the such, to the state where you now use it with your clients.
So
Yeah,
shall I go
yeah,
back
yeah,
back?
yeah.
Okay.
Let's take
So
it back to your
I,
origin story.
I will take it back. So I actually started a career in television and it merged into events. And I became very successful quite quickly, actually. I suppose as you see the traditional form of success,
Yeah,
which is climbing the ladder, making more money, doing the things, all the big. I mean, I did everything from, I'm part of the Olympic torch relay in London. I worked in Formula One in Abu Dhabi. I've run a £6 million dinner for 300 people. I've traveled all around the world doing things. So when you speak to people, and as you climb up the ladder, and life's exciting as you're younger, and you're doing all the things that so many of your friends wish that they were doing, you realize actually that you want more. out of life, and this is not giving you the sense of something bigger. It's you are tied to a system. And I remember after the Olympics in 2012, I just felt spent, completely spent, and yet I did not have the confidence to change anything. I was like, what am I going to do? I know how to organize an event. That's what I can do. And, I was told at school that, academically you're rubbish. And that does, you're like, well, I found my thing. No one changes their career in their 30s. I had all the contacts, money was flowing in, life was good. So the only thing that I could think of doing was just running my own events business. So that's what I did. So I went even deeper into that space. And it wasn't until 2018 of just this constant grind, yes, travel. You'd speak to people and they're like, oh my God, your life's so interesting. You're thinking, well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why don't I enjoy this?
Why am I not happy?
Why am I not happy? And I remember, you're getting certain accolades. I went and did my final event, which I didn't know was my final event at the time, which was a massive 10,000 person conference. And it wasn't, in comparison to a lot of the stuff that I did, it wasn't the most challenging thing that I had done. It got towards a week beforehand, and I had been working as people do work in events, in really early at 7, finish at 10 on the lead up to the event. It just constant that. And we had got to a really good place a week beforehand. I was like, oh, just going for a massage. The whole team were like, yeah, go, get out. And at that moment, after I'd come out of massage, I was walking towards the station and I lost my sight. I
just got chills when you said that. Oh my God.
I just started to have this attack. I didn't name it anything, because I was definitely the type of person that was just like, oh, I'll just keep plowing through. And I lost my sight. I remember being by the wall at Waterloo station, like holding onto the brick. And I just felt very panicked. I felt like it was almost like my world had completely closed in. And which is where the body comes in, because if you've been thinking about something for a long time, the body eventually will react. Totally. So, and of course I didn't have the tools at that time to understand what was going on. I was just like, this is just something that happens, and it's fine. But I remember thinking to myself, I cannot go into that station. My sight recovered what felt like ages, but it was probably only about 3 to 5 minutes. And I called a friend. They took me back to their apartment. I slept on their couch, and the following morning, like clockwork, just got up and went straight back to work, the whole thing.
And I remember, was ready to completely ignore what your body was telling you. Do you think it was the massage? Because you'd obviously been working in fight and flight,
Absolutely. Energy. I do think it was massage. The woman that was massaging me at the beginning was great. In about 15 minutes.
She's there with like a meat grinder, like, oh my God, you're so tense.
It's so weird that you say that, but about 5 minutes into it, there was a knock at the door. And then this other woman came in.
She called him back up.
I don't know. This other woman came in. They started chatting to each other in this weird argument. And I was like, this is really weird. I'm naked on the bed, and these two people are having an argument, and I can't do anything. And they swapped, and this other woman clearly had not touched a human in a while, and she just started pelting me. And I think it was the pelting for the next 45 minutes that really just released something in me. It made me just go, okay, this is something. She probably did me a great favor, to be fair.
You need to go back and give her a big tip.
Exactly. So so I finished the job a week later. We were in Barcelona. Finished the job a week later. The client was like, I want you to fly to San Francisco and do this. And my normal reaction to flying to the States would be like, yes, absolutely. And I just instantly, my whole body just went, no. And I said, that's it. And in my head, I was done. After that, I went back to the UK, I closed the company, and I said, I'm not working for the next 3 months. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not working for the next 3 months.
Oh my God. Did you have a team and everything?
I had 2 people on the team. They got themselves different jobs. And so I made sure that happened. And
wow. I'm really
applauding you, because particularly as women as well, like that would have been such a hard decision. But I think you know when you know, don't you? Like you say, it's a physical, I
Yeah.
can't possibly do another thing. I've definitely had burnout myself in the past. I was saying earlier that I built a business that was on the surface very successful, much like yourself, but it just come at too much personal sacrifice. And I also think it was a 24/7 job. Like I had a business and it was 7 days a week. So there was never a letdown. And I don't know, don't even know if there was one particular moment. I'd had a baby and I had literally drove from the hospital and went to the business. And I'd had a shower and that was it. And I was like, and on to the next, like just pushed out a person and it's Tuesday. So let's keep it moving. And I was just, yeah, I think it was my body literally saying, we cannot do this. And it was a very physical reaction to, I need to get myself the hell out of this business. I don't even want to be in the door. I don't want to see anybody's face. I don't want to, like, I just don't know what happened, but it's like a personality transplant overnight, which can be really scary. So
it can be totally scary, because I mean it took me to that point to make the decision, but that was like 5 years in the making. That wasn't me pondering over a couple of months. That was 5 years in the making, to this point of like, I don't know what's out there.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do it, no matter what. There must be a better life than this.
Yeah, it didn't feel like living, I'm sure, as in like as it's intended,
Just
like
existing. Just totally existing. So my family live in the Middle East, so I went out to see them, and all I did was what I feel has stayed with me all the way through. I did what I knew I had control over. So I just woke up in the morning, I gave myself, I wasn't sleeping in, and I was like, right, we're going to restore now, and we are going to get up in the morning, we're going to walk. And as long as I was walking every day, and as long as I was eating healthy, that allowed me just to start to recover my mental state and my physical state. So I just focused on that, really. And as I started this journey, about 3 weeks in, I started to listen to podcasts that I never thought that I would really listen to. And I remember listening to this woman talking about career change and boundaries and lots of different things. I'm like, and she came from Hewlett Packard, and everything sounded very, very legitimate. It wasn't fluffy. It was I could relate to it. It seemed very practical to me. And it only took a month of listening to her, and I was like, this is what I need to do. I need to train in this. It was so alien to anything that I'd done before. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I used to love reading self-help books or self-discovery books, but I had never really explored that side of it. And that was, I remember starting to listen to her in the February, and at the end of March I started training. So
oh my God, was that in breathwork or was that in psychology?
It was I trained as a life coach initially. That was a year's worth of training, and at the life coach school. And then from there, I ended up training as a positive psychology coach. That was probably about a year and a half later, and then trained as a breathwork facilitator, because I know how important the body and the mind collaboration is. And it really felt to me that there needed to be that association with both. So and I'm still learning, still growing, and still developing those skills, but for me it definitely felt really aligned to amalgamate the two.
Sometimes the body knows before the mind, doesn't it? So
totally, it's about reading it.
And whenever I'm with the client and they're like, I don't know what it is, and I'm like, well, let's feel into it. Like, where are you feeling it? When you're thinking of this decision, what's coming up for you? Like, does it feel good? Does it not feel good? And I'm somebody that definitely, like, my body will know. I'll get a gut reaction before my mind will come in and be like, oh, but try and justify things and overcomplicate it and surmise and all of these sorts of things. I always feel it in my body. And I think that's one of our superpowers that we often forget as women, that we have access to that incredible intuition. We can spot bullshit from a mile away. We can, we know everything that we need to know if we just listen to ourselves more. So I absolutely love that. And what I also was just kind of picking up on as well is that I just love the variety that the coaching space attracts, because I actually have an events background, bizarrely, but HR prior to that. And it's like this, I love what you talk about as well, which is not what we were supposed to be talking about in terms of like visibility, but leveraging all of those transferable skills to something that is completely unrelated, but just, you know, you can still bring that depth of experience and transferable skills to what you're doing now. And a lot of the time when women are at those cross points, they feel like they have nowhere to go and they have nothing, like, God, what else could I do if not this? You know, like you were saying, like events were practically your identity, but still managed to start again, but you've brought all of this richness of experience and everything to it, which I love.
That's such a important point, because I think that on two levels, I think that there are so many people out there. The more I talk about this, the more I hear and understand other people's pain, because at the time you feel like you're just doing this on your own. You feel very isolated, you feel quite lonely. And the more I've spoken about it, the more either people have said, yes, that's how I felt, and it took so much for me to make the change, or I'm in that zone right now. And actually, at the beginning of this year, I felt really compelled to write a book about this particular experience for those particular individuals that are sitting at their desk who are going, wait, I'm alone in this. I don't really understand how it is that I can move forward in my life. I see other people doing something really incredible and they seem to be enjoying their lives, and I don't understand how I've not got that. And the sort of bitterness that creates, and the frustration that creates, and the loneliness that creates. For me, the key thing was the loneliness that creates. So I felt, having spoken to a number of people, that we needed to share our story, and we needed to share it quickly. So that was my mission as part, you know, for 2 to 3 months of this year, was to bring those stories together, create a book, and really focus. The book's called My Dad Thinks I'm a Fairy, because it doesn't matter what other people think. It's about your journey and what you want to do. So everyone has their own little way of expressing their particular moment where they went, okay, now is the time to change. And they will have had deep thoughts about what others might think of it. And knowing once they've taken that step, it actually didn't matter, because they were now following their soul-led purpose. And that's what was important.
Are you spiritual at all, Serena?
Yes, I am. I enjoy it. I wouldn't say that that's what I specialize in, but yeah, I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. And obviously, but I do have like, I'm tapped in. I know people in the spiritual community, so I'm always like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but not really. And I actually have a psychic that I meet with every month. Like, it's so funny. But I remember her saying prior to COVID, and I'm wondering if this is why, you know, you felt called to bring this book forward, was because as a collective, so she kept saying, like, there's going to be a really big shift in the collective, like there almost needs like this conscious awakeness, in that like just we've been all being conditioned for so long, and it's like we needed some big event to happen where we just all elevated our own consciousness to essentially make the planet a better place. And I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of like summarizing. And then obviously COVID happened, and we were like, oh shit, well, that was obviously it, wasn't it? And I think a lot of people felt, and I've definitely seen this as well with you know, a lot of businesses started up in COVID, and that they were probably where you were in that fight and flight, just going through the motions of their day and the daily commute and grind. And then all of a sudden everything stopped. And it can be a real reckoning, can't it, when you're left with yourself and all sense of identity and purpose taken from you, to then start questioning everything. And that was definitely my journey as well. Like, I realized it was the first time in my whole life since I was like 14 had I not been busy. I didn't need to be anywhere. I didn't need to do anything. You know, as a business owner, as a mother, I've always worked several jobs, and that was my identity. I prided myself on the fact that how much I could get through and get done in a day. That COVID was a real like confronting moment. You know, much less obviously everything else going on, which was awful. But I want, that's obviously a lot of people I think will be really wanting to reach out and grab that book now, because I know that a lot of people were left thinking, right, now what? Even when the businesses went back, it was like, suddenly this doesn't feel like right anymore. Have you found that when you're speaking with your clients, that it seems to almost be over the last few years, maybe collectively?
I think that now more than ever, I knew that I had a realization back in 2018. Well, actually, prior to that, and I think as soon as I started feeling unhappy in the situation that I was in, it wasn't filling my cup anymore. I remember thinking to myself, and I don't know why, but the film Speed always comes into my head. I remember, I don't know if you've seen the film, but essentially this guy's trying to bomb this bus, and he's got his Rolex that is the timer underneath the bus, and he's like, after all the effort and the energy that I've put in, this is what they give me. And after I've given my life to them, and this is what they give me. And for years that stuck in my head to make me think, what happens at 65 or 60 when you retire? Like, who am I after that? What is it? Because my job is my identity. When I leave my job and actually have a weekend, I'm a shell. I'm exhausted.
Because
So
you're
what
always on in
happens?
your job, aren't you? It's like your job gets the
Totally
best
on.
version of you.
Totally. And you bring it all the time. So and then I thought to myself, well, what happens then at that point? And I think that way of thinking, in some aspect, some way, really came to people's heads when COVID hit. They were like, well, who am I without my job? What
Yeah.
is this?
I
So
even found that on maternity leave at corporate,
yeah,
actually, just not having a purpose. And I know I've obviously got a purpose, I had a child, but just not needing, again, like to be at work by a certain time. Like there's a lot of liberation in that taken away from you, as in like, you've got to be at your desk by this time, you've got to have your lunch at this time, and da da da. It's almost like it's easy, isn't it? Just going through the motions. Then when suddenly it's like, well, you have to determine what you have for lunch, and da da da. So that to me was really like disorientating. And I think so many people will resonate with what you're saying about going through that time, because it could be people that are going through a marriage breakup, people that are going through, like, coming out the other side of a narcissistic relationship, or have lost their job, or their children have flown the nest, or there's so many points in life where suddenly we are confronted with just nothing's the same anymore. So shit, what do I do now? And
yeah.
I just love that is, so this book presumably will be like able to help them through that process.
It just allows them to have the understanding that other people have been there too, and it's not just someone who has been completely career minded like myself. It's other people who have had a family and haven't worked in years, and they're nervous about going out. They're nervous about telling their partner that they want to start a business, or they want to go back into the working world or whatever, because they're scared that they might fail, and then what happens? What are they going to prove themselves right, in a sense, by not allowing that to work? So they're nervous about doing it. So it's a real spectrum of individuals who come from multiple different backgrounds. So each story will relate to somebody.
Yeah.
Each element of the story relates to somebody, and will have that same feeling that you sitting behind the desk right now, who's going, I can't wait for the weekend. Oh, I can't wait for my holiday. Oh my God, I can't believe I've got to go back to work in 3 days' time. That feeling is the indication that something is not quite aligned with your purpose.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me how many people just accept that is just life. I remember having a conversation with my brother a little while ago, actually, and I was like, you don't see yourself. And he's like, well, you know what it's like, work's rubbish, and then, the weekend. And I'm like, and he's like, but that's just life, isn't it? That's just how it is. And I'm like, no. Oh my God, no, that is not life at all. But it's just so accepting that is how it's meant to be. You're just meant to suffer for 90% of your life so that you get that 10% of freedom, which isn't really even freedom, is it?
Like,
So yeah, so if anybody is feeling like that right now, or just starting to feel like you say that. And what happens, I tend to find as well, is that you start to like just suddenly feel like the odd person out. Like, it's me, I'm ungrateful, there's something wrong with me. I don't know why I can't just be happy with this. And I had this with a client earlier, funny enough, so I know. And she was saying, I just feel like the odd one out in any circle I'm in right now. It's like I suddenly don't fit in my own body, in my own community, in my own, family. And it can be a really isolating experience. So I'm so excited that you have this book to support people. But if somebody is starting to get those inclinations that either there is something else for them, or what should they be doing like right now, if this is resonating with anybody who's like, hang on a sec, that's me, she's talking to me right now.
I think there's one key thing that is really vital here, is this notion of I should be okay. I've got a roof over my head. I've got people around me that love me. I feel supported. I should not feel like I'm empty. I should not feel like I don't have purpose. I shouldn't feel ungrateful for what I've got. So therefore, I'm just going to suffer in silence. I think if you are looking forward consistently with passion to the weekends, I think if you are desperate for your holiday, instead of like getting excited for it, you actually desperately need it. That is when realignment needs to happen. And the best way to do that is to start taking time out for yourself. Don't go crazy when you hear that. I can feel the resistance from your listeners, but it's about it's doing that time of 2 minutes here and there, and just having some time, expansive time for yourself to say, right, okay, well, I can get 2 minutes in to really regroup and refocus. And if you can start doing that a number of times a week initially, and a number of times a day eventually, to start really thinking about what it is, what do I want? Ask that question. How would I like to see my life?
Yeah.
How would I like to feel?
Yeah.
And as you start, just feel into the resistance. Notice that there is going to be so much going on. Yeah, but I've got kids, and yeah, I've got the mortgage, and I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Okay, that's all fine. That's the how, that's the 2D world, that's everything. How could I feel? How would I like to feel? And start just exploring. Our mind goes instantly into this locked cage as soon as we start to explore and become creative on things that actually might be exciting for us.
Yeah.
We start to get
shut it down.
Yes, after the age of 27, 28, we start to look back.
Right. Oh, really? Is that a thing?
So it's really important that if you listen to the conversations that you and your friends start having, and they are all talking about the past, notice that.
The good old days.
Notice you've still got a ton of life ahead of you.
Yeah.
And forward thinking is an option.
Yeah.
So be prepared to be uncomfortable. Be prepared to be okay with feeling excited about something. Be prepared to be okay with wanting things. And as soon as you start to create that curiosity and create that exploration, you'll be surprised what certain things can happen.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like you've actively got to commit to that process, because I've done this recently. I mean, first of all, yes, absolutely everything you just said sounds amazing. And I've just done this recently with getting really intentional with my week and my diary, and actually planning on a Friday that I do nothing. Like I have to plan in nothing time and just don't allow myself at any point. And obviously there'll be things mentally like, well, I could get around to doing that thing and that thing, but there are no commitments, there are no expectations, there are just nothing on me to do anything during that time. And I've actually had to plan that into my diary to allow that space. Like you say, it's almost like when you're skiing, rather than trying to avoid the trees, you've just got to aim for the gaps in between. It's like trying to aim for those gaps in between, isn't it? Because that's where the magic happens, and where all of those answers will come to you, essentially, I guess.
Absolutely, because that time for self-care, self-mastery, self-love, all of that time, that sounds, trust me, I get it. If you're listening from a corporate perspective and you're going, what is this girl going on about? Self-mastery, self-love. I hear you. I was that person. But that space the fact that you've given yourself that space. I also know someone who works 3 days a week, 2 hours of those days, and they have a very, very successful business because she spends her time on a Monday and a Friday absorbing, reading books, going for walks, enjoying that time, because that's when sparks come of inspiration.
Yeah.
That's when ideas start to mold themselves into a reality, because you say, right, now I need to action this and this. If you are cramming yourself with actions, you have no space to grow.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's ultimately what we're here for, is for that next level of growth, whatever that means to us. So thank you so much, Serena. That was amazing. I'm really excited. I'm going to go and get the book. Like, I can't wait.
Brilliant.
I think that is really going to help, like you say, a lot of women in lots of different positions right now, but with that common theme that they are ready for something more. They don't know necessarily what it is, but that will hopefully navigate them through that process of coming to that conclusion themselves. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I will obviously make sure that all of your details are in the show notes. And you mentioned about a 7-minute a day method that you use with your clients as well.
Yeah, I mean, that you can go onto my website and get it for free. It's also on my Instagram. You can get that for free. It's a download. It's a meditation. It's 7 minutes. It gives you access to your higher self, your higher being. Anytime you want to reach that person, it gives you access to that during the day. So I give you an instruction, I give you the story behind it, and I give you the meditation. So if that's something that's of interest, if there's something that you want to elevate in your life, I urge you to go to either my website or my Instagram, download it for free, and try it out for 30 days. Challenge yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And see what magic happens within that time frame. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for listening as well. Obviously, if you've enjoyed this episode, then make sure you like and subscribe and follow and do all the things. And obviously, I will put all of Serena's details in the show notes so you can find her.
Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been amazing to share this time with you, and I feel honoured to be part of your journey. If you've loved what you've heard, had an aha moment, or found value in this episode, then please do like, comment and share. I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, so come and find me, and I look forward to helping you build your epic life.